How you doing, folks? Nice seeing you again. Glad you showed up for this. We're having lots of fun out here. I haven't spent much time in the shop, as you know, with everything's been going on with my heart. I have a pretty good day going today. This is the first day in about 3 weeks. I've been out of AFib yesterday from about 2 o'clock right on through the night. It kicked in about 4 o'clock this morning. I got a great night's rest. I think that's half my problem, isn't it? When your heart's pounding out of your chest, boom, boom, you can't sleep. Okay, so, anyways, we're back on the 395 cc 372 build for Buck and Billy. I'm going to go as far as I can. But first, I want to show you something, okay? You're going to like this. .365 special low top. Thanks to my buddy Eric Nelson. No cylinder on it. But boy, have I got something to show you about this one. I took a standard cylinder for 372 and had Dino Joe, thanks Dino Joe, bore and sleeve that. Yeah, the 56 millimeter. So what I'm going to do is build a sleeper saw. Something nobody ever think about. Not going to be an orangutan saw. I want a personal one. I know what I like. I like nice and zippy and strong. But I thought it would be kind of cool on that 365 special chassis. What do you think? In fact, I'll show you the cylinder. Okay, here's what we got. This is highway cylinder that Joe sleeved for me. We were unsure what I wanted to do here. I know I needed some meat in this particular application, and so I had Joe just leave that alone. I can chuck this up in the lathe, and I can turn that off or turn it down any dimension I want. But here's the thing. This obviously is a 390 cylinder and then 372. The 390 cylinders so far run quite cool on these saws. They're not running hot. So I thought we'd give a standard cylinder. It's a bolt-on deal, guys. This is just a gimme. I thought we'd give it a standard cylinder shot and see if we can still keep it cool. I predict once you hit 80, 85 degrees, you better watch it in big wood. I think it'll get hot. But this is a test saw for me. If it works, I'm going to do more of them. I like the idea of what we're doing with this one for Buck and Billy as 95cc. Probably the only one that I'll do that way. He'll have the only one. You don't know. You don't know what the future brings. But if I can make it work with a 372 cylinder, it's a bolt-on deal. Okay? The only thing I got to do is get these dimensions. I've got to worry, as you know, the piston skirt comes out of the cylinder some. It has to be well supported. There's a lot going on at freaking 14,000 RPMs. So that's the one thing I know I have to do. This would be something that'd be fairly easy to do because you don't have to mess with the bowl holes alignment. See, you have to elongate them. You can see that on a 390 cylinder to make them fit these saws. But I think it'd be way cool to have a 90cc 365 special sleeper around here. I think I've designed a new pipe. We'll give it a shot on this saw. But I won't be building this for any time soon. I've got other saws that a couple of YouTubers, I got saws I'm going to send back. I was going to build for them, but I just, the way things are, I just can't right now. I just can't. So I can't drive right now. Well, I can drive. I didn't forget. It's just not it's not a good idea. Something could happen. And we don't want that. So here's the deal. Because I have a shorter cylinder from here to here than this big old thing, it'll fit under that low top. See, I have to use an X-Torque top for the 390 cylinder. I can use the regular low top for the 365. Now, at 54 millimeter, the piston of choice for me was the big bore highway flat top for this build because it's an exact fit. Joe, you do an absolute incredible job of fitting these. He's really good at this. Boy, Joe's got a future, don't he? I do. I know it. And the thing is, when you're building these crazy saws like this, things are happening that you're not thinking of. Okay? And I was aware, but not many of you out there are, of what's happening. Now, when you do the long cylinder, the 390 cylinder, on that same stroke with same rod, you come up with a piston combination that works, which happens to be that steel MS 661 piston. Okay? Now, when you're doing that, these numbers aren't valid anymore on your intake, exhaust, and your transfers. You have to work that out. And I'll tell you what the biggest problem is where things open and close. You say, oh, I'll just use the same numbers I always have. No, you're not. No, you're not. In this one, I can. What's going on with this longer cylinder and the piston height? That means from the center of the pin to the top of the piston, that piston height is much longer. Okay, so when your crank comes around, it might be in a different position to get the same number, but you are altering how that motor can run. When you do this, think about this. There's very, very few people out there that actually understand these two-stroke motors, okay? I'm not saying I'm the only one, but I'm going to tell you what. When I talk to some of you guys, I know that all you're doing is just grinding and guesswork. And then you get numbers that work for you, but you don't know why. You need to know why. And I'm not demeaning you. I'm just trying to help you. I want you to understand that as the crank rotation, where that rod pulls on that piston differently. So when you have a different compression height, that means center of the pin to the top of the piston, from normal, that may be going faster. That piston might be moving faster or slower than what it would be in a factory saw. Don't think the factory screwed up when they come up with them numbers. None of them did. Not in Husky and Steel either. They knew what they were doing. And they were a little conservative so they could mass produce them as castings, and they would run just beautifully with excellent results. We tweaked the number some for characteristics. Okay? I want you to understand that part of it. But I want you to think about that when that crank turns and it's pulling that piston down, and if them ports are not exactly in the same position that it should be, like we know what the 372 cylinder would do. So you put a taller cylinder on that with a different skirt length and different pin position, it is not. You got to chase them numbers. Your first thing you do is you make it run. Do the minimum to make it run. Get a feel for how it runs and what needs to be changed. This is what I've been trying to explain about these two strokes. And it's hard for people to grasp this. That, like, if you do too much machining, you've altered that piston path, the piston speed path. So cut your base right off, go in there and just hog out your freaking combustion chamber, and it drops down too far, and then you're filling your intake with JB Weld or whatever, screwing up your timing. But you can correct all that, can't you? Okay, what you can't do is correct that piston speed as it's moving through the motions. As the exhaust opens, the transfers open, intake closes and opens. You're altering that. So it's a timed event. How long does each one of them stay open? Okay, that's really important. When does it first break? Now you can take and do machine work and make it an excellent thing by understanding how the motor really, what the motor really wants. But it's a total different set of numbers. And quite honestly, I haven't seen any of you that do a lot of machining make a saw that's very good. Now, not in the potential that if you just backed way off and done just a little bit and not chase things so bad, you guys are shooting yourself in the foot on this machining. Now, I'm an old guy, so I can talk like this, right? And I'm not trying to offend you. I'm trying to help you. So if you take offense, you don't have to watch this. You don't. If you want to listen and you want to learn, I'm still learning. You think I'm not? I'm still making mistakes. Yes, I still am. But on this 95cc, I can't afford one mistake. This is a one-off. This is a very difficult one to think about. Let me know what you think of that little 90cc sleeper saw using the OEM cylinder with a 66 mag big bore piston. I think it's going to be fun because this is a saw that I could take out and run and not think too much about it. I wanted a really good work saw, so I'm not going to crowd the numbers much. This 95cc, I'm crowding it. I'm crowding it pretty good. Okay. Now, the first problem I have is when you look down the transfers from this side, that sleeve is so big, that's really impeded coming in there, isn't it? Okay. So what I did, and what I'm doing, I've shown you stuff about these. I'm cutting this bridge right in there. I'm cutting that down further than normal. Okay. I want air to get down through there. Okay. That's what I want. Now, on this side, I've got to remove more material. So, I might just as well, I've just changed my tooling. I needed something I can get up in these corners good with. So, let me get just a little bit of grinding here. Now, what I generally do with the condition I have, I grind until my brain turns to mud. Then I have to stop. I got no choice. I just stop. So, let's just see how far I do today. You know what's something from where I'm at, and one day I could have this saw running normally? Yeah, that's the problem. Been 3 months on the bench, scared of it. I chose this shape tool because this can help me get square corners again, okay? But because of the diameter, it's slower cutting. That's the one thing about it. As you see, right here, I'm starting to get a nice square corner, but that's got to come around. These 390s, I was holding them back severely. Properly put at 390, they had a run with 395. Well, they didn't want that, so they made things a little goofy just so they had a mid-class saw. So, But you see, we're starting to get a square on that corner in there, and you can see this side. This has got to go toward this bowl an awful lot. It really does. So I'm going to pause you a minute, and let me get this taken care of. Okay, I think we're pretty close. I've drawn that back, and this is my primary. Yeah, them are your uppers. Different style upper, okay? They look big. Trust me, they're not. Half of them is blocked by the piston, okay? But I don't want anything to impede that airflow. So there's some funny things that happen when you drift them uppers right here, where they're down under that piston. I want you to think about what's going on when that piston isn't in the way, or when it is in the way. What's really going on, okay? But I think we've got it close. So, to the best of our ability, let's put this on, get a couple bolts in it, and just see where we're at. And there we go. Something that's normally really easy for me is working on saws has become quite difficult, really. It's I know one thing: if they can't cure my atrial fibrillation, I'm about done with these saws. It would take me 6 months to build one, waiting for a good day. I can't do that. But let's hope for the best, because quite honestly, the doctors say 95% chance everything's going to go good for a shot. And if that isn't completely corrected, they go back in again and do it again. And it's not a big deal. But I'm really looking forward to feeling different, I'll tell you that. But with a lack of blood flow and a loss of sleep, I'm just so darn afraid to make a mistake on the saw. A common saw, I wouldn't be quite so concerned, because when you flubbed it up, I could do something about it. Easy. This, there's one set of parts in the world, and I got them right here. I can't screw nothing up. Now, I'll tell you what, when I'm porting a saw, just common, you wouldn't believe how many times I have the piston off and on, and the cylinder off and on, just when I'm getting my numbers. Every time, guys, deburr really good. Every time you're checking your numbers, don't cheat. Okay, here's what we've got. I've got a little spot I want to take out, but as overall, we have a nice picture right there. Really quite nice. I wish I could get that light better, but you guys can see. That's going to pull air in there, isn't it? So now what I got to do is I've got to get the other side caught up. That's what I got to do. So let me do that. Okay. Now this is obviously an iron sleeve. It cuts a little different than aluminum, but it shares some of the same things. I thought I'd let you watch this for a minute. The rotation of your tooling is determined by two things. Diameter of the tooling, you're looking for surface feet per minute. As you get a bigger tool, run it just a little slower to get the same cutting speed. Now this is a little thinner one, and so I run it slightly faster. Every tool has a speed it likes to cut at. You can go fast as heck and it'll slow down, or go too slow and it's just too jumpy. What you're doing is trying to get it just over that where it's jumpy stage, and where it's cutting smooth. Take little cuts. Some teeth are little tiny things. They can't go in there and just hog, This ain't milling. I always anchor off my thumb. In other words, you just eyeball, you can see where you're at, you know. You notice I'm running slower? By changing your speed, you change the characteristic of how your tool wants to cut. It won't want to follow that same path. So when you know you're getting close, you just eyeball it and you just playing catch up. By anchoring and you're just making these movements, you have absolute control of that. So any of them little ups and downs and high spots, just kiss them. Take them off. Peel them in layers like you're peeling an apple. I've got to carry that down quite a ways, yeah. It's a lot of work. Slow and steady is what wins the race with this. Okay, here's how you get nice square corners, okay? I got one side done. See them corners there? They end up nice and square. You take your round tooling with a flat bottom, and you just like that, just right in there, and you just use that bottom, line right up on the piece you cut, and just cut them in with the bottom that way. It works pretty good. I want to make sure I've got everywhere that I want gone. Okay. Okay, now I've got that where I've got it shaped the way I want. So we're pretty even on both sides, but I've cut this one down a lot further going this way than this one. Now, that's what I got to do next. Okay, now what I've got is I have my primary transfers, which these are these ones here. I have them roughed in. Nice, long, smooth. I'm looking for there, you see where the upper window is. I have the right angle. You can kind of see it's kind of going downward. Well, what that's going to do is shove that air and fuel right to above the intake, which you don't see that yet, do you? We got to cut that in. And I know where I want to cut it, but we're going to sneak up on that. But this is about getting my transfers where I want them. Now, I got to rough in my secondaries. Okay, I have both sides caught up. I have both sides fitting my case quite nicely, which makes me happy. This is a lot of work on this saw. Awful lot of work. Right there is where it's going to be. We're going to get air up them lower transfers like crazy, ain't we? We got them fitting quite nicely. I'm very happy with that. This is a fun build. I'll normally be really fun. I'd be out here till 2 o'clock in the morning working on this in normal operation, but what do you do? What do you do? Okay, guys, here's what we're doing. Oh, let me fix the camera. If you notice behind me, the trees are getting green. It's time for yard work. Make sure the old riding mower runs. That kind of thing. But things are getting green. Our peach trees are the most beautiful color. Pinks and whites. They are in absolute full blossom. We have excellent peaches. We've been growing peaches here in New York for about 20 years with perfect results. Got to have the right varieties, which you got to have. And they end up just going good. Hey, now we're ready to put the crank in. We're running ceramic bearings. I'm going to have Colin help me with that. It's got to be done quite fast. Got to pop these bearings and seals out. Tomorrow morning, if things go right, we got to go to the farm store and pick up a couple things. And then we are going to put the spot end together. And I'm really excited about that. And then we're going to start getting timing numbers. So just please, Lord, let me have one good day next week. That's all I want. One good day. And then I don't care what happens. I want to see this all run. I want to hear. I can hear it in my mind, but that's it. Okay, listen. Those of you that know, we got rid of our mules and our horses. We did. It was time. Things weren't getting better for me fast enough, and you better be on top of horses and mules. You better, and I wasn't, and I knew I was going to pay for that. So we made the conscious decision to get rid of them, which they went to good homes, very good, 2 groups. But we got a dog. See, I couldn't have a dog with them mules because they kill coyotes, ours do. And so, therefore, dogs had a problem. But I'll tell you what we got for a dog. I'll be introducing to you. We got some very, very lovely people, very nice people. He is a purebred. This is what happens. This is what's wrong with me right now. Just bear with me a second. He's a border collie, liver and white colored, 5 months old. His name's Gunner. I'm not going to change his name because the dog knows his name. He is adjusting to us and our lifestyle. And interestingly, he loves to chase cats. Well, guess what? We got farm cats. And boy, some of them, we got one inside that she just goes hides. She's no problem. But them old farm cats outside, Gunner ain't got a chance if he really gets a hold of one, which I don't think he really will. But they're going to educate him. And there's a reason they're still alive. They're tough. Thank you so much for showing up, guys. Hopefully tomorrow or Sunday I can get another video out. I apologize. Things haven't been like they have been normal, but I'm doing the best I can with what I got to work with. Thank you so much. Goodbye.